If I only told the stories of the hunts that went well, I wouldn't have many stories to tell. So here is one of the stories that didn't end well. It was a bear that I thought I wounded, and I guess I won't give away the ending. So I was up on a local ridge, one of my favorite places to hunt. And it's my favorite place to hunt because nobody else wants to go up there. There's some property issues because in California, nearly everything is landlocked. But also, this place in particular is very hard to access. There is public forest roads going through it, but you can't use them for some reason. I don't know. You're not even allowed to walk them, which is, you pay your tax dollars go towards maintaining these roads, and you're not allowed to use them. It's a little bit frustrating. But it was up on top of this ridge. It takes probably, if you're in good shape, hauling an hour to get up on top of this ridge. So I'm up there, spent a whole day, didn't see anything except deer. Always works out that way. If you're hunting bear, you see deer. So coming down the ridge, decide to take a glass over this valley. It's about 30 minutes till last light. Put my binos up, and sure enough, there's a massive bear coming up this rocky, I call it wheatgrass. I'm not sure what the vegetation actually is, but it's like that dry, long grass, maybe like 2 feet long. So see this giant bear coming up a hillside. Immediately have like a 2-second freak out of like, there's the animal I've been looking for. What do I do? So pull off my pack, drop my pack on the ground, find an opening in the brush so that I can actually see. Sit down on my butt, Indian style, use my pack as a rest. I have a Mystery Ranch. It's got a solid frame in it, so it makes a good rest. Set my rifle across and range about 400 yards to this bear. And I had memorized the chart on the back of the box. I think that's 20 inches, 20-inch holdover. Yeah, so it's 7 inches at 300, 20 inches at 400. The part that I had missed was that's with a standard length barrel. And the rifle I was using was a youth model that I had purchased for my wife. And I like it because I'm kind of lazy and it's lightweight and short barrel. I didn't think about it at the time, though, that affects the trajectory and it's going to have completely different velocities. So I ended up missing these shots. Took 2 shots at this bear. It was kind of ambiguous on whether he was hit or not. I was leaning towards not hit, but you still have to investigate. So I go in there after this bear and get into this area this bear's in. And of course, it's, the stuff bears like, the thickest stuff you could imagine, bear tunnels and all, thick brush. And get down there, no blood, but I can hear a bear in the area. I got hoofed at. It's an interesting noise a bear makes. It's like a woof, woof, and it's pretty common. Bears make that noise a lot. I also, it was actually the next day. So I bail out of there because it got dark and was getting woofed at by a bear that I thought was wounded in the dark, and I'm stuck in this brush, man. You can't even imagine how bad this is. Like breaking branches to try to get out. Like you physically feel like it's impossible. Like you're in this stuff and you got your rifle above your head and you're pushing forward and you can't get anywhere. You're climbing over these bushes and it's bad. So to be in there and think you're stuck with a wounded bear can be pretty terrifying. Didn't want to go through that at night. So I bailed, came back the next day. The next morning, I'm going through a similar situation, stuck in this brush because I'm not on my hands and knees. It's another bad situation to be in, but there's tunnels for the bear. The bear's using these tunnels through all this stuff. I'm in there and I had heard the woof before, but I had never heard a bark. And at this moment in my life, I heard this noise that can only be explained as the houndiest hound dog, voice cracking puberty bark you could imagine. It sounded like a dog, and it's weird, but apparently bears make this noise too. So I get barked at, and I had been woofed at, and I was still getting woofed at. So I try to get out of there, and I can't because this brush is so thick. It's closed in behind me. Got my rifle up in the air. So I start breaking branches because I'm thinking I'm going to get, charged, and I'm going to need to get my gun down. So breaking branches, trying to make a hole for my rifle to swing down because I've got I'm closing around my chest. I can't even get my gun down. So, not a great situation to be in. So I'm getting barked at, getting woofed at. And then I hear this bear just bail out of the canyon. So I keep looking. I didn't end up seeing any blood, but it was pretty terrifying to be stuck in there. I ended up looking for about another 6 hours for blood. Didn't see anything. Bear was beautiful though. It was giant, man. Probably at least 350 pounds from about 400 yards away. And like I said, I think their trajectory and the velocity, the ballistics were off on that youth model. So to anybody shooting something that's not got a standard length barrel, word to the wise, get out of here, dude. Go, move. Word to the wise is, look up your specific barrel length. Actually, the best thing to do is take it to the range and get your actual on paper bullet drop, which I did not do, and I lost a bear because of it. But thank God it was a clean miss. I spent like 6 hours looking for blood, and I didn't turn up any blood at all. So fairly certain it was a clean miss. And I ended up harvesting a bear that looked very similar like 2 weeks later, and it was a female, and it was about 200 pounds. That color phase, blonde on the back, like cinnamon brown legs, is surprisingly common here in California. I've heard people theorize that it's because the bears spend so much time in the sun, since California is always bright, and since we have maybe a little less cover here than in other states, so we don't really get many jet black bears, but a lot of color phase bears. So the bear I shot, harvested shortly after that. It's a little late right now, but I will probably do that update next. But that was my one of my terrifying experiences. I guess I'll stick to one story, man. There was another bear that I missed earlier in the season with my bow. It's probably more exciting to talk about bow, bear hunts, but I will save that story for the next one. 20 yards. Bear was right on top of me, staring at me, and arrow deflected off of a branch. So maybe that's the next story I'll tell. Thanks for listening. Check your barrel length if you're shooting a youth model, and I think about 400 yards is where it starts to make a difference, because it did for me.